Hi everyone, Amber from So Majestic. We are on month 9 of Cotton Cuts Wild West Puzzle Mystery Quilt. I cannot believe that this is the last month before we finally put everything together. So this month is really fun. There are 3 different blocks. We have 1 of 9A. You will have 2 of 9B. And 2 of 9C. So I'm so excited to see how they all come together, especially because these blocks are quite large compared to the Tree of Life, or at least they feel that way. So I'm really looking forward to the big reveal at the end of the month. Let me know in the comments if you are enjoying it, if you are Team Josie, if you're just as excited as I am. Thank you to Cotton Cuts for allowing me to be an ambassador. I cannot wait to be live on the big reveal and show you Team Josie all finished up in the large size. As always, if you enjoyed my tutorial, please consider subscribing or giving a thumbs up. It helps my channel grow and I appreciate it so much. Enjoy the month 9 tutorial. Alright, so I have month 9 of our Wild West. This month we have 3 different sections, 1 of 9A, 2 of 9B, and 1 of 9C. 2 of 9C. So I'll be doing 1 of each of these. Here we have our layout. I have all my materials laid out next to me so I can grab them easily. I also have my pressing mat with the mini iron and my color card because I still have to refer to this. So let's get started with section 9A. All right, so for section 9A, we only have 1 of them, so I am not cutting these counts here in half at all. Usually I do that, because I'll make 1 block for the tutorial. So let's start. We need our S square, and that for us is that bright pink, and 2 B squares to the left and the right, which is our lighter pink. And then on the left and right of that, we need 2 small E triangles, which is our orangest fabric. And I'm just going to start in the center and work my way out. So I'm going to put my B and my F fabric right sides together. And I'm not going to clip them. I think that there is, it's not quite long enough. So I can just kind of hold it. And again, I'm still trying to be mindful of backstitching at the beginning and the end of when I start my quilt. Okay, and so for this one, our seams are being pressed inside towards our S fabric. So like always, I like giving the back a quick press, gently opening, and then pressing from the front. Okay, and so now I'm going to add my E triangle at the end, and I'm just centering it. You'll see on the left and the right, the little corners hang off a tiny bit. That's okay because when we sew our seam allowance, it's going to fold open without a problem. And then for this one here, our fabric is being pressed out towards the E triangle. And then we're doing the same exact thing for the other side. So I'm lining up my B fabric
And again, pressing those seams towards the outside. I can't believe we're already on month 10. I feel like we just started this. I also feel like I can't believe it's already April now when I'm filming this. This came out on the last Friday in March. But I feel like it's flying by. Okay, and we'll line up our last E triangle on this side. And this will be pressed again to our outside, that small E triangle. Okay, so this is our step 1, and you'll have one of these, and I'm just going to move it to the side for our step 2. All right, so now we're on step 2, and we do need to make 2 of them to complete this block. So we need a B or 2 B squares. I'm going to try to put them next to each other. Might overlap a little bit. And then I need 2 large E triangles, because it's going to go 1 on each side. These are going to be kind of large, so I'm running out of space. So I'm trying to lay them out the best that I can. Again, the large E triangles. And don't get them confused, because we do have some smaller ones, because now our smaller E is going to go on the top. And I am going to sew these both at the same time. So I'm going to start with the smaller E triangle on the top and just lining it up, centering it as best I can. I switched to the Gutermann thread instead of the Aurifil, and I've been having better luck with it with my machine. So I'm using the Gutermann now for this in the top and the bobbin. Okay, and so the second side, or the second block, I'm just matching it up. And this is nice because this first piece acts like the leader and helps guide my fabric through. And I went and grabbed my better scissors. I had brought them into a different room and forgot. So that's how I was using like clunky, like little cheap ones from a sewing kit. Okay, and so for this, our triangle is going to be pressed. Our seams are pressed towards the top. Again, I'm doing both at the same time, so that way it just goes quicker. And I use less thread. Okay, so now I am putting these right sides together, and I'm making sure that I am lining up, in this instance, my right hand side and the top. So if my right hand side and the top are lined up, I know my fold will open correctly with the seam allowance. Okay, and now doing the same thing here. Making sure that top and right side are lined up. And these fabrics are also getting pressed outwards towards the triangle. So just gently opening that up. And you can see here that because we lined it up, they overlap perfectly. And do the same thing from this side. And now we're going to repeat the same exact step, except for our left side. So again, just making sure the top and now the left side of my triangles are lined up. There's a lot of the pink and the orange and the white in this quilt. So I'm so excited to see how it all comes together next month.
Okay.
I haven't attempted to guess how it's going to look. Let me know in the comments if you try to figure it out before the clue releases. And again, we're just pressing towards the outside, towards that triangle. Right, and then like for here, there's a little piece coming through, so I try to clean up my quilt as I go. Okay, so that is step 2. All right, so now for step 3, we're taking our piece from step 1 and basically just putting it in the middle. So I've flipped these around. And then this is going to get centered just like this. So I'm just double checking to make sure that I am have everything going the correct way, all my arrows, so that way they're lined up. And so now there are seams here. So I am going to grab my clips and make sure I clip them. So I'm going to fold them right sides together. And then I like to turn them towards me so I can see and really try to make sure that they are aligned. So once I have those seams clipped, then I'll work my way out and clip the rest of the edges. Okay. Then I always hope that they don't shift too much once I actually start sewing. All right, and so our seam allowances should be pressed towards the outside. Gently open this. I always try to be careful with these large blocks that I'm not pulling on it or accidentally warping them. I was just giving a little bit of extra heat, especially where these 4 different fabrics are coming together. And it lined up really, really good. I'm very happy with it. So now we're going to repeat the process on the opposite side. So again, I'm putting them right side together. And if you pressed everything correctly, your seams should nest, which makes it a little bit easier. And I always fold it back like this to make sure that I am clipping like exactly on that seam. And if they shift a little bit, I don't worry too much. Once the quilt comes together, it's going to be like not even noticeable, especially for someone that doesn't quilt. Okay, and again, pressing that back seam, gently opening it. And on this side, I don't even know if you can tell on camera, it's literally like a millimeter off. And that's what I'm talking about, where if it's not perfect, I don't stress it, because that's going to blend so well once we have the quilt done. All right, so that completes our first 9A block, and now we're going to move on to 9B. So for 9B, we are constructing it similar, but you can see that the pieces that we're using are different, and there's 2 of these. So for all of these counts here, I am going to make 1 of them. But if you're doing both at once, you're going to want to make 2. So first, we're going to start with our E, a large E square. And then we need 2 large C squares on the left and the right. And then we need 2 small D triangles, which is our white fabric. Okay. And again, I'm going to start with my center. It's so great that they just line up and they're ready to go for you. And then for these centers, we are pressing our seams in towards that center square. Then I'm going to add my small D triangle again, making sure that everything is centered. I have to count. I think this is my 5th or 6th puzzle mystery quilt. And I just love them because I feel like every time I make one, I can see my own improvements in my quilting, like gets a little bit more accurate. The edges are lining up better. So it's really nice to see your progression. And again, pressing this time towards the outside. And we're going to repeat our same steps for this opposite. Here, mirroring each other. Okay, and then I'm just turning this over because we want it pressed towards that center block. Just makes it easier to do it that way. I always like pressing from the back to kind of help set the crease. Okay, and now we're adding our small triangle on the left. All right, and then this one will get pressed towards the outside. All right, so this is our step 1 piece. So I'm just going to move that out of the way for now so we can start step 2. And now we have step 2. So I need another large C square. And this time I need a triangle. So 2 large A on the left and the right. And then a small A triangle on the top. And if you wanted, you could sew step 2 and 3 at the same time, lay them out so you're chain stitching them, but for the tutorial I am going to sew them one at a time. That way, I know some people like to sew along with me as I'm sewing. They keep up the pace. And actually, this time I started on the right-hand side. Let me double check. It actually says to start with the top and then the sides. So I don't know if it really matters. It will change like how the layers look. So instead of this one being kind of behind, it will be on top. So I'm going to do left and right, but you might want to start with your small top triangle. And these large ones are getting pressed out to the left and the right. I'll let you know what I mean about that small one if you are reversing the order like I did. Sometimes I just look at the picture instead of reading the instructions. But like I said, for this, it's just going to change which one is on top. Doesn't cause a problem in the whole quilt or anything like that. And then pressing that out. So this is what I mean here. See, like this triangle is on top of the left and the right ones, but honestly, once these blocks get sewn together, you're not even really gonna notice. So it's okay if you didn't do the top one first. Okay, and I'm gonna set that to the side. That's step 2. All right, and so now we have step 3. So it's the same exact thing, just different colors. We are using the same C square for the center, but this time we are using our D fabric, which is our white fabric. So again, on the left and the right, we have the larger triangles, and then up top we have the small. Okay, so this time I actually am going to start like the instructions. I'm going to do the small one first, or the top one. Okay, and so we'll press that towards the top. And then now we'll do our right and left hand sides. Again, making sure my top part is lined up and this side part here. I really, really love these blocks. I've been saying it every month, but I really liked how large they are. And I'm excited for next month because when I put together our tree of life, that was so many separate pieces. Like some months had, I think it was like 6 or 8 different little blocks. So I'm really excited to see how these larger ones come together. Okay, so that is the right hand side. And now I'm going to do the left. Again, making sure that side and top fabric is aligned. And this will get pressed out towards that left-hand side. Sometimes when the pieces get bigger, it gives me trouble, wants to fold back on itself. All right, so that is step 3. And now for step 4, we need to make sure that we are turning all our pieces the correct way. So we actually want our A fabric, which for Josie is the blue, in the top right, and our D fabric in the bottom left. So this is going to come across the center, and then this triangle we're going to flip outwards. So you want your A fabric in the top right, your D fabric in the bottom left. So again, I'm going to put these right sides together, but then turn them towards me so I can see the seams and clip them. And they should nest again if you pressed everything the correct way. So I just clip those center ones and then work my way out. So I'm curious, when you sew for pieces like this, do you clip them? Or if you do you use clips or do you use pins? Every time I use pins, I stab myself. So I try to use them as little as possible. And we're going to press this out towards that triangle piece. So just pressing all the way across the back and then gently opening it. I'm just making sure, because sometimes when I fold them open, like I've mentioned, that I have trouble with the seams wanting to kind of fold back on themselves. All right, and again, that matched up really well. I'm very happy with it. So now we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put them right sides together and turn them towards me. Okay, and then sew this last side. And again, these should be pressed towards that triangle. And gently folding it open. I'm so happy. These are turning out really well. The points are lining up nicely. And I remember like the first month, I had one that was off by a couple millimeters. So it's really cool to see my own progress. I wonder if you guys are noticing the same as you are building these blocks. And I just have a couple threads coming through and trim it off. All right, so this here finishes up our 9B block. All right, so now we are moving on to our 9C blocks. Again, we have 2 of them. So over here, I'm going to be splitting these numbers in half. So to start, we need a large B triangle. And if you want, you could even lay out all these steps and do them at once. But again, I am going to sew them as they are step by step. That way, anybody sewing with me can keep up. So we have a large B triangle and a small F triangle on the right and a small D triangle on the left. And I always start on the right hand side, just out of habit because I'm right-handed. We have a ton of flying geese. My prediction is that these are going to be some type of border. So I'm curious to see how it comes out, because I feel like every month we've been making a couple sections of these flying geese. Okay, and again, this is going to get pressed outwards. And now we're going to add our left-hand side, which is our D triangle. Just adjusting it. My feed dogs wanted to eat it. Okay, so this one's going to get pressed outwards to the left. So this is our step 1. I'm going to set it to the side. So our step 2, we need a large E triangle and then 2 smaller B triangles. And we actually need 4, so I'm going to be making 2 of these. I'm glad I noticed it now, so that way I can chain stitch them and make them a little bit quicker. So I'm going to do both of these at once. So I'm going to do both of the right hand sides. These triangle points, if my machine decides it wants to eat them, it's always on the points of these triangles. So I'm glad that this front piece will act like a leader. Oh, I actually my bobbin is out. So let me just fix that and I'll come back and do the rest. All right, so I just refilled my bobbin. So I'm good to go. And now I'm doing that second flight geese of step 2. And these are getting pressed to the right. It's always nice when you can do a couple at once. Okay, and then now we'll add our left-hand side. So for one block, we need 2 of them, but if you are doing both blocks, you should have 4 of these right now. And it's so much nicer. You can just snip in the center, not wasting all that thread. And then these are going to get pressed to our left. I have the same thing for this one. Okay, so now for step 3, we need 1 of these from our step 2. So I'm going to keep this one here and move that one to the side. And we need our step 1. So we're going to put our step 1 on the top of step 2. So you'll see it's making like that pink arrow. So I'm going to put them right sides together. And they should line up. You want to be mindful of your seam allowance so that point doesn't get cut off, but I don't have to line up any center point. So that's kind of nice. You can clip them. I'm just holding it since they are the same distance still. And because I don't have a seam that's matching. Right, so this is our step 3. You should have 2 of these if you are making both blocks at once. I'm going to set it to the side for step 4. And now for step 4, I need a large B triangle and then 2 smaller E triangles. And we're making 2 of these, so I'm going to do 1 for the video. If you're doing both blocks, you should have 2.
Good.
Okay, we're pressing that out toward the right. And now to the left.
Shut up, shut up.
All right, so that is step 4. And now we have step 5. So we need to join our step 4, which is the one we just did, to the top of our step 2. And you'll know that you have them correct because it will form that pink chevron again. And so I'm going to put them right sides together, making sure that I'm lining them up. All right, now we're pressing our seams up. Gently opening. Okay, and that is our step 5. And now our last step, step 6, we are joining these together. So we need our step 3 to the top of our step 5. And you'll know that you have them correct because the top right should have our F fabric and our D fabric. And then you will see the arrows that are formed. So if you have these arrows formed and these 2 up top are different, you know that you have it the correct direction. So again, I'm putting them right sides together. You can clip them. Again, I'm just lining them up since that center seam, I don't have 2 seams that I need to match up. Okay, again, we are pressing these seam upwards. So pressing the back and then gently opening. Perfect. So this is our 9C block, and you should have 2 of them. All right, we have just finished up month 9. You should have 1 block of 9A, 2 blocks of 9B, and 2 blocks of 9C.
So at the end of the month, I believe it's April 25th, will be the big reveal. I will be live with Cotton Cuts as well as all the other ambassadors. So as soon as I have the exact link and everything, I will post it all over social media. I hope you will tune in. I cannot wait to see how this turns out and what it's going to look like when it's completely done. Thank you for sewing along with me for this whole time for Wild West. I appreciate your support so much. Thank you to Cotton Cuts for allowing me to be an ambassador, and I'll see you next month for the big reveal. Bye.